YouTube and Trading View. Good afternoon, everybody. It's RT here with Hxro Labs, Nick Cote. It is episode 21 of Hxro Labs Live. How's it going?
Really good, man. Carnage, bloodshed, or buying opportunities.
What is it? BitThumb got hacked overnight. No, sorry. Wow. Reset. You can delete that, right? Bitcoin. Oh my God.
Ooh.
BitThumb got raided. Different kind of
worse.
FUD. Police reportedly raid headquarters of BitThumb, South Korea's largest exchange. And that was to do with a token sale hosted by BitThumb, and some proposed acquisition by a Singapore platform that never materialized. But some investors said that they lost millions participating in the sale. And so people angry, raids occurring, and perhaps that played in somewhat to the price action we've seen. If anything, maybe accelerated it. For now, it's pretty standard TA, right? Up, down, up, down, up, down, trending up, higher lows, higher highs. And we've really just come into some bullish retest levels. So we're going to talk today about, how Nick and I are playing it and what we think about it and some key levels to watch. Is this the top? It's always the question when you go down a bit, was that it? Do I get out? Do I stay in? Do I buy more? Whatever. Those are the questions we all have, myself included. And we're going to dive into that using our very best technical analysis today to find levels that are important to us and to you. And then we're going to wrap the show in the back end with community engagement, requests, charts. Bring your bags. We'll chart them for you. How wrecked are they? Or are they in a buy zone? Are they showing any signs of reversal? Are they slowing down? Are they speeding up? These are all the questions we have. And these are all the questions we're planning to answer today. So without further delay, let's get started. Oh, final thing. Nick is actually going to be introducing a new segment today in his newsletter.
The Gem Hunters. It's what everybody wants, what they need. What are the pre-sales you should be looking at, how you should be analyzing them. There's plenty of stuff to go through. Make you a Gem Hunter.
Yeah, this is what, something we could talk quite a bit about, which is a new kind of thing. Well, it's not that new. New to me. And that's this summer. We're doing a lot of pre-sale hunting, coming in, buying it before it's even trading. There's added risk to that, but a lot of times you're getting in at a price. Of course, every time there's a public sale, every time there's a new coin, everyone says, what was the pre-sale price? And I always thought to myself, I want to be that pre-sale. I want to be insulated by 3x, 5x gains. I want to be taking profit on the initial launch so that I can have a free position in something. So, we can talk a little bit about that. And Nick is going to introduce this new segment that is going to equip you with tools to begin investigating that yourself. And that's part of his newsletter. It's weekly. It's called The Weekly. It is also delivered weekly. Go figure. And it's free. So check that out. We probably have a link for that somewhere. We'll hit you up with that later if you're interested. It's fire. I mean, just a quick shill. I mean, Nick, you were pumping the DeFi train back in May when I first met you. So gold back in the spring, right? These are some of the things Nick's been kind of all over for a while. So as far as RT just crashed. Yeah, I might. Yeah, Jonesy says I might have just crashed Bitcoin to 9K. BitThumb not hacked, just in case that was unclear. It was a raid. What my brain was trying to say is something bad out of BitThumb. Now, let's flip over to the majors. Let's get into this real quick. Before we get to the newsletter, I want to make sure we get some charts up here just to see what's the damage report. We got some volatility today. And after yesterday, let me make sure I get the right screen here. Today, hit me up with that. Now, look, this is a key level here. So, I mean, yesterday we had a huge breakout. This looks really ugly. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. This is we're up, we're down. So, what do we need to do for the daily close today for me to like this chart a little more? And that is to close back up above 440, which is very possible. I mean, we have 6 hours left. If we don't, that's not guaranteed top is in, but it's not great. It's not great at all. And I think that's a key level I'll be watching on the USD chart. But more importantly than that, I'm going to be watching this chart, which actually looks a lot better as far as this bullish retest. I mean, we've been seeing this now since July, early July, but actually even a little sooner. These sort of bullish retests, breakout, back to the breakout level, breakout again, back to the breakout level, breakout again, back down, breakout, back down. This is just the same old shit. So not too concerned about the ETH BTC chart, especially like zoomed out. I mean, what is that? You know, the 3-day still green. We're still above that breakout level. Lots to be excited about. If you're holding Ethereum, speculating on it as sort of a flippening narrative into 2021 and beyond, I think that's a really strong hold. If you're just trying to accumulate sats, is to not be sitting in Bitcoin right now, probably be sitting in Ethereum. It's going to be outperforming as it has been. I expect it probably will continue to. And that ties back into what Nick likes to talk about, which is the wrapped Bitcoin. Now, for the savvy traders on the 1 hour, I believe I saw Scott Melker on Twitter with a similar trade setup to this, but like the idea being, you know, there was a little double top on the hourly. There was a slowdown in momentum. This was me getting ready for bed, going to sleep, not trading. I had a grind yesterday, like 13 hours. So I was ready to unplug for a bit. Don't really care. But this breakdown right back up into that short RLZ. I mean, there was a trade there for anyone who thinks like this came out of left field. It didn't. And even on the high time frames, you know, there was some writing on the wall as far as momentum. And we had talked about this over the last couple of weeks, how some of these momentum indicators had started to roll over. So you can see here the MACD barely even turned green on this move up. And then again, just here, it's just getting started. So, you know, writing on the wall for some of this pullback. I think BitThumb probably accelerated it a little bit. If nothing else, it's just whale games. They're like, hey, look, this is a good enough catalyst for us to squeeze these longs. And perhaps, Nick, you're kind of a good metrics guy. Do you have a spot, maybe your Glassnode, where you could pull up some liquidation numbers? I would love to look at sort of like how much open interest is wiped off the market during this, because that's kind of really key levels. Now let's look at our long open interest. We've been tracking. Let's see what Whaleman's doing. Look at that. New highs. New highs on the long open interest on Bitfinex. So that, you know, our whale who's been accumulating
continues to do so,
right? So like this again, for anyone who wasn't watching over the last little while, we've been tracking this since the spring. Basically, every time you see this little heart, it's a zone where the open interest shot up every time the price tanked. In other words, somebody very big, very special, likely very smart, is buying the dips on leverage. About 3.3x margin is available on Bitfinex. And they've been adding to this long position all throughout this rally. And so we've been saying, you know, like, let's keep an eye on that. If they start offloading that position and we can find some evidence of that, that might be a tell that they're putting a top in on this. And they haven't. In fact, on this particular move, that's yesterday. So long open interest went up with the big breakout, go figure, and barely moved here. So that's a really good sign. I think that's a good bullish sign. Ultimately, we're in a bull. Dips are for buying, period. And that's just, you know, one thing I wanted to touch on today is like, you can't buy the dip if you don't take some profit, or if you don't, you know, if you're not actively trading. I mean, yeah, you can DCA the dips all you want, you know, $100, whatever, like whatever your financial situation allows you to along the way up. But I actually did, believe it or not a hot brag, but it's true story. I did actually skim some ETH yesterday at around whatever it was, 477, just like spot. I was on Bittrex, some gains on a Uniswap coin, and I was like, fuck it. You know, I'm going to sell a few ETH here because I just want to make it real. I want it to feel real. And the amount of fluctuation in a portfolio sometimes is like a ridiculous amount if it was, you know, in your bank account. So I pulled a little to my bank just to be like, this is real. And I actually felt like a sucker doing it at the time. I'm like, you know, this is probably just going to go to 600. But because I did that, I wake up and I get a little validation. So like buying dips, selling big rallies, and moving small would be a strategy I think is important to keep in mind. Not trying to call the tops and be like, I'm going to sell everything right here. I'm going to buy everything like 2%, 5%, 10% in, out. And that way you're kind of staying liquid. I'm staying on, you know, on the up and up. And so I did capture a little bit of this, and we're right back into that range. And I want to see us close back up here today. The 1 hour doesn't look like it wants to, but I'm going to keep an eye on it. So some key levels there on the higher time frames. quick and dirty general overview, and we'll get back into that at a little more detail later. As you guys know, I've been watching this GAN fan. Bitcoin's up against the 8-to-1, up in the short RLZ. Not looking great. Bottom line, on the 3-day, it looks like it wants to exhale. Looks like it wants to pull back. Looks like it wants to squeeze the shit out of every bull in this market. That was true 2 days ago. That was true yesterday. It's even more true today. Couple
in
trends.
terms of liquidations, there really wasn't that much liquidated on this move. You know, in the past 24 hours.
Forward to your screen.
Yeah, I've only had about 44 million in total. And this, this, it's just Q.com, great for futures info and all that stuff. I'm not signed into anything else, but yeah, it's just tracking the liquidate, and it only tracks BitMEX right now. I'm sure there's another site that aggregates everything. But yeah, in terms of, we've had way worse liquidation cascades than what we saw here. Same thing with Bitcoin, right? Like, only 97 million over the past 24 hours. So it's, nothing insane. I don't think a lot of people really over leveraged off of that. And a lot of people, longer from much lower positions rather than, buying that $12,000 handle. Yeah. Yeah, we've had a 500% move on Ethereum with literally no major corrections or anything. And I think the big tell here was the divergence of Bitcoin and Ethereum. You could tell Bitcoin was getting a little weak. Like if I quickly take, like you can see on the Bitcoin chart here, this it couldn't even break the resistance here at 12K, right? Obviously, this is a nice big support level down here. You don't want to be shorting this necessarily. We'll get into some trade ideas later on, but with Ethereum, completely different market structure on this, right? So I'll put this down to the 4-hour. It broke highs. It failed to hold. But it's just a completely divergence from Bitcoin right now. If you didn't believe Ethereum was, leading this rally, hopefully you're a little bit more in tune with that right now. But yeah, this is a pretty significant level for Bitcoin, more so than anything right now. I would definitely be keeping an eye on this 11.1.
Drawn up now, and we've talked about that probably 3 times in the last little bit, that I think Bitcoin is really just set to range here. I'm a little surprised actually with how little it followed Ethereum. But ETH BTC, I'm going to flip back to my chart. Are we on it? Oh, wait. Okay, I'm on the wrong one here. Okay, there we go. So Bitcoin chart, once this shock comes into the market and it's like, okay, we're going to have to range for a bit. And that's really just what it was. So again, from this view, right? Bullish, we're going to new highs. And then it's like today, you could swear in some of these Telegram channels, everyone's like ready to, go get a job at McDonald's. We're just ranging. And so back to, if you don't take some profits, if you don't capture some gains, it's really hard to psychologically build yourself up to buy these dips. And this range will destroy you if you don't have a plan. And it was really Ethereum here that the ETH BTC chart. That's the story, and that's to the effect. Put that tweet out this morning, basically saying this is the most important chart in crypto to me, and I believe Nick is somewhat in agreement to that. I mean, of course, Bitcoin's king, but it's not really the show right now, is it?
No, I would say it's kind of given that king crown to Ethereum these past few weeks.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's capturing the imaginations of the entire market. We have craziness happening over on Uniswap. Basically, oh my God. So last night I was looking at this and I put out some tweet being like, 1.34 billion was locked in. That's real value locked into smart contracts. It's already almost doubled. I mean, earlier today it was up to 1.95 billion. That's like a quick double. So we've gone parabolic, insane amounts of value being locked into smart contracts on Uniswap. The volume just about tagged 1 billion yesterday, and today we're not even halfway. Well, I guess we're just over 3/4 of the way through the daily, and we're coming up on 1 billion again. So just insanity. These fees $35 US, $43 US. This morning, I think I saw $65 US, and it's showing up on the gas fees chart. So Ethereum is certainly the bigger story right now, which is not all that surprising with what we've been seeing in DeFi.
Yeah, I think we're going to be seeing some tops in some of these DeFi APY farming fucking schemes that we've been seeing. You know, the Kimchi launched yesterday. I think they had 230,000 APY on that. This hot dog coin that launched today. I don't know if we're on my chart there.
No.
Yeah, I think it was like touting like over 1 million APY or something. But yeah, it went from 1 to 4,000, and then from 4,000 back to 1 in about 15 minutes this morning. I wasn't in
$4,000.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, you know, I think a lot of the people are going to be taking a little, hopefully they're taking a little bit of breather. You know, the exuberance has been running high. Even today, if you look at the locked money in DeFi, it's dipped down just a little bit here. So, you know, hopefully just people take a breath, stop chasing these farming coins. It's like I said, it's only a matter of time until we get something like hot dog, but on a much larger scale, in my opinion, where a lot of people get affected by this.
Yeah, I can see why, you know, there's a lot of OGs in the space that are just like, oh, Jesus, you know, like this is why we can't have nice things. You get one, you know, you get the yams, and then like they obviously shit the bed day 2 with a bug or whatever. And then a couple weeks later, you've got, what do we got now? We got sushi, we got kimchi, we got pizza coin,
tacos, hot dogs, pizza.
So, you know, take your pick. What is innovating? It's just like, hey, it's a fun thing. It's a meme. Attendees is coming off a little today on the chart, but like, it's this kind of shake your head moment where, you know, you want to be an investor, you want to be a speculator. Yeah, shit, have some fun. But then you turn around and you're like, God damn it, hot dog coin, 98% in 10 minutes. Like, this is how you put tops in markets, guys. God damn it. Coins would be, I mean, but I'm biased because I haven't touched one of them, and that's just like, I'm okay, boring old man. You know, not quite a boomer, but I'm in my 30s, and I just doesn't really mean anything other than that this shit just sounds stupid to me. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, it does. I want to have fun. I'm a fun guy, but come on, some of this food shit, I'm just like, you know, give me a new YFI coin. Let me long some YF, baby.
Yeah. Like when you have these high APYs, it's essentially just encouraging the dump, and it's dumping on poor people that are actually buying the token, and then the farmers are just dumping on those guys. And yeah, like look at that. Silverback Stacker says here they were promising 1 billion%. 1 billion, like, give me a break. It's not sustainable at all.
Ali is giving me a shout out in the chat. He says I sound old and I'm not fun. And I would agree. That whole comment I just made was very boomery. But you know what? It's how I feel. Okay? I got feelings too. And when I see hot dog coin come off like that, I just think of all the poor suckers that were caught in that, and it makes me feel bad. Like genuinely though, like I was telling Nick before the stream, I was like, I just genuinely feel bad when these kind of dump days happen, and I see all the wreckage in Telegram, and I mean, it is what it is, and it's a dog eat dog kind of, you know, world and market, but I generally feel bad for people that don't understand how this stuff works, and they come in and they get wrapped up in the excitement, and then it's all fun and games until they really lose their shirt. And you don't hear about those guys. They don't usually come into Telegram after they truly lose their shirt. They just disappear. So just my, you know, good man trying to be like a little helpful to people. So look, let's talk real quick about whatever you got on your chart there, because it looks sexy. What do you got going?
Yeah, this is just the ETH BTC chart that you mentioned, and why I'm not really panicking with this ETH move yet is because we're seeing, you know, a positive price reaction here at the former highs. You know, it's had a little. This is a 4-hour chart, but if we take it down the hourly, you know, it doesn't look bad. It's good to see that price reaction. So there's still some demand. You know, for now, this is, you know, going to be a bearish throwback, unfortunately, until proved otherwise, up to 38555. If it does, you know, close above that level, I think, you know, we can definitely move back up to 0.04. But what I was looking at is even like I'm preparing for both things to happen, right? You have that trade plan. Nothing's a surprise at that point. If this level does fail, it's probably going to head back down to 3. This is what a true failure and like what an entry could possibly look like if you did think this was going to go down lower. So, you know, say we fail like right up here or something, come back down, break it. This, you know, probably going to get a bounce off this level here. If this confirmed here, turning to resistance, I think then we would see something like that. So it's very similar to how we trade, or, you know, like that as well. It doesn't matter, go like there. Similar to how we trade looking for long entries. It's the exact same thing for short entries, right? We're shorting on the retests of former support if it's flipping to resistance. So support turn resistance, resistance turn support, etc.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's only a 5% downside here. I think that would kind of line up with some of the ETH USD levels that we have marked a little bit lower. Yeah, so I think that would bring ETH back down to around that 400 level. But ideally, what we want to see with Ethereum right now, you know, it's closing back above here.
What was that, like 440, right? 440.
Yeah, basically 445 around there.
Yeah.
If it can close above there, you know, it looks good. I think it'll retrace back up to 470. If it does fail here, though, for very similar to the idea that we were just talking about with ETH BTC there, you know, hit that, and it would probably, you know, fall back, do that again, and back to 360 or something like that. That would probably be the most like logical bearish path. But again, if we close above this 447, then I think this will just be a shakeout. There's been no major levels that have been broken. Like I think that's the key takeaway here. Like, yeah, this sucks. It's down. It doesn't go up in a straight line. It looks really bad on the high time frame stuff. But again, it hasn't. This is the level to watch, 360. Otherwise, you know, we're just creating a new range here, really, like between 500 and 360. So, you know, I keep an eye on that, but for now, looks okay.
Yeah, and these things can range for a long time. You know, there's no reason it has to go to 6. There's a lot of, you know, this is the nature of markets. People trying to figure out what the hell is this thing worth, and it can, you know, what is it? 80% ranging, 20% trending generally for markets, even higher, like 85%. So keep that in mind. High time frame trend is up. So these bearish retests, if we're going to roll over, if we're going to go down, they'll come.
Yeah,
there'll be dip buyers. So I'm not too worried about it. I'm certainly not rushing to change anything I was doing. I'm looking for, you know what I'm doing today actually is I'm looking for coins that over the last week or so, I was like, damn, I wish I bought that. You know, that thing's going up. And I'm just checking them out today. Like, you know, can I get some dips? Can I buy some? Because at the very least, we'll get a nice bounce out of this probably. And if anything else, you know, maybe get just full blown continuation, boom it. So not a day to change strategies. We talk about this a lot.
I think the coins to be watching are, you know, in terms of what you want to be looking to buy for continued upside after this correction's finished. It's probably going to be the ones that we've already been talking about. Like, which ones are projects building on top of? Cosmos and Ethereum and Polkadots, right? Like, everybody's been trying to get in Polkadots. We get the double tap resistance here. That's hasn't closed below this local range, but this is the big level to be watching here, like that 5.5. If that goes, well, yeah, you're going to be testing $5. If we get a full-blown market implosion, your ideal buy is down there at 4.5. It's a gap that's, you know, left unfilled. Like, let's put that out there. You see a lot of people talking about filling gaps. You know, I'm a believer that the majority of gaps do get filled, you know, eventually. It doesn't have to happen tomorrow, but this is a huge gap, hasn't been filled. So
let's talk about the difference between, because what you're looking at is not the same as a price gap on, say, the CME, where there's just literally no price action there. What are you talking about right now? And actually, before you continue, hit me up with that watermark on the back of your chart, just a right click, settings. We had a really good suggestion for one of our viewers last, and they requested that. If you go to the bottom settings there, and then there's just a watermark you can.
Oh wow! Well, unfortunately my settings thing isn't even turning on.
No, that's fine. Well, no worries. Just want to make sure everyone knows exactly what chart we're looking at.
Yeah, in the future we'll definitely do that. But yeah, for reference, this is the dot perp chart on FTX. You know, they got rid of all that doom candle when they did the redenomination. I would love it if the spot exchanges did this. I'm not going to hold my breath, but yeah.
So speaking about the gaps,
Mm-hmm.
what are you seeing that's like you're calling that a gap? I mean, I know what you're talking about, how the chart hasn't kind of corrected and filled in and wyckoffed. Could we just
Yes,
differentiate that between a price gap?
Sure. Yeah. Essentially, like the price has moved away from its former, resistance. Didn't really have much time to form a base of anything either, right? Wyckoff, that it teaches you that price inevitably will fill these gaps. They're called throwbacks, and that what that does, it confirms a level. Either if you're going down, it's going to confirm the support. If it's going up, it's going to confirm the resistance. And like legacy market gaps, like obviously crypto runs 24/7, so you don't have these intraday gaps through daily candle opens and closes and things. But in the legacy space, or like with the CMEs, when there's actual market closes, and there's still aftermarket action, right? Most people just don't have access to those markets. They're not able to place orders or have them execute or anything. But let's pull up an Amazon chart to kind of articulate this a little bit better, because there's plenty of gaps there.
Yeah, stocks are more common because it's price action and differences that happen when the market's closed. Crypto doesn't really close, so the actual big gaps, the visible candle price gaps,
Here's
very
a perfect
uncommon.
example. So you can see here that price so it closed. The close was right here, right? It opened up here. So there's this small price gap right here. It was a 2% gap in that case. Sure enough, the market came back, filled it, and what happened? Well, the trend continued. So that's generally the basic idea. It fills these price inefficiencies, these gaps, and then normally continues on with the trend. And again, you're going to see these more predominantly in FX markets and stocks and stuff. Same thing here, like look at that big gap up. You get a lot of this during like earnings reports and stuff, where there's just a lot of aftermarket volatility and stuff, and retail just don't have access to that. Again, you don't see a lot of this in crypto, like this type of gap, but you definitely see these untested levels that you were just mentioning, and that's kind of like it. It helps you identify levels and potential targets for entries and exits and things. So this is what I would be looking for. Like you can see here, like dots just fucking boomed right through it. It's never actually retested this level. It just busted through this resistance. So if we come back here and it confirms support, it's going to form a really great base for the next leg and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what we can find in crypto, and I'll pull it up right here, actually. If you go to BTC1, is it what? No, BTC exclamation point. Jesus. Token on live cam. What is the CME tag?
Oh, God.
Where it was BTC1, but oh, you know what? I've got it right here. Yeah, what? It is.
Yeah, it's BTC1 exclamation mark.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but it's not coming up. Lame.
I pulled it up.
Okay, oh God, it's because I'm on the cryptocurrency tracker. Let's take a look at that, because that is the gap everyone's talking about down at 9,600. So as far as like searching for gaps in crypto, the CME, because it closes overnight, you will get, or is it on weekends? I don't know, but basically it does have closing hours
on Fridays, and then they also have the settle. Well, I guess that's options platforms. Disregard, but yeah, this is the gap everybody's looking for right here.
Yeah. So if you ever hear people talking about the 9,600 gap, it's on that chart, and that's why it occurs. It's because somewhere overnight when the market was closed, Bitcoin moved higher, but the CME wasn't open. So when it did open, price was already up there, no candle in between, creates a gap. And then the idea is just market efficiency. Price wants to discover all angles, fill all spaces, explore. And so that does seem like something that I think we would probably feel that before we hit 20K, whether that's, let's go to 16K first and then come back down, like whatever it is.
It's only a 10% move from here, really.
Yeah, I would assume that'll get filled before 20K. The probability of that seems upwards of 85%. So for what it's worth. Now, let's dive into your segment in the newsletter, because I'm really keen to look into that. You're basically sharing your pre-sale, gem hunter toolkit, and you're going to keep expanding on that. And I bet a lot of people watching have no idea that you even do this newsletter every week. We want to shine some light on that and maybe let you breathe some life into it here live on Hxro Labs.
Sure, I'll pull it up here. So first so this is, the whole point of this newsletter, I've been doing this for quite a while now. My strength is in identifying trends, and that's something, it gives actionable intel for people. So I'll drag it over here so you guys can see what I'm talking about.
Newsletters are really good for that kind of high time frame view too. So it's not like, what am I going to buy today? But it's like, maybe what's the next big theme in crypto? And in this case, you were pretty spot on with your thoughts on DeFi in the spring.
Yeah, DeFi, the emergence of NFTs and gaming and blockchain, something we're watching. But there's a lot of interest in the Uniswap stuff. There's a lot of opportunity in the pre-sales if you know what to look for. So like the purpose of this is going to be building your toolkit. And I think the most important tool in this toolkit is having a team behind you, like having that group of guys or girls, doesn't matter, group of people that you can rely on and delegate tasks to, because there, like I said before, there's thousands of coins coming out, that are already out, hundreds of coins launching every month right now. It's impossible for one person to be able to go through this all themselves right now. So building that team, having, meeting people in this space, that's probably the biggest add that you're going to get to helping yourself identify these projects early on. The other thing is just, you gotta have a long-term, not a long-term, but a more broadened strategy of how you want to allocate your capital. These aren't they're so early stage, right? Like when I'm looking at these things, I'm analyzing potential network value. Network value in crypto is derived from the people that are actually transacting on your network or building applications on top of it, and thus creating demand in the layer one through fees or whatever call functions for other services, things like that. So not putting all your money in one basket really early on, especially in a new trend, is vital. Why? Because you don't know who's going to be the clear winner. You don't know who has the hustle to go out there and get the partnerships and attract investor interest and stuff. Like it's all about building that network value around your project and attracting other people with larger, more sophisticated networks than you and getting them interested in your project to expand that network value.
Can you zoom that page just while you're talking? I want to get a nice close look at that. If there's any right click zoom or, let's get a nice big full frontal.
Yeah, so again, like the purpose, this is just kind of like the introductory. It was a brand new segment that we're going to be launching, and we're going to be diving into, what strategies and techniques that you should be looking at when you're doing your analysis top down from a team to the project. Can this scale? That's probably the most important thing for me. How big can this get? Is this just going to be a short-term, 2x flip off the sale because I don't believe the team can execute on the product? I don't believe this thing can scale. It's not in vogue. So these are all things that you need to be, checking off your treasure hunt checklist when you're taking a look at this stuff. There's so many, and that's the other thing. I saw this in 2017 and 2018 and things. If you have a small network of developers, and this has grown since then, obviously, as more education has happened and people are more informed with this, more people are learning Solidity and other programming languages in order to build these applications. But initially, your pool of developers is going to be small. So when I see 50 projects all trying to do the same thing, I'm immediately thinking to myself, if I know only 10 guys can actually deliver on this, it's probably a development time frame for something. The initial sprint could be 2 to 3 months. The math isn't lining up. I already know the majority of these projects are going to fail. So at that point, I need to be looking at the team. What's their background? Have they done this before? Like, where's the overlaps here, right? Like, what are they doing for business development? You want to know their go-to-market strategies, and you get all of this information by combing through. White papers are good and stuff. We'll get into that into a second. But more importantly, getting on calls with these guys. That's
reaching out and networking directly.
Exactly. That direct interaction.
The nice thing about crypto is you have access to these people. I mean, a lot of the founders of these projects started off, somewhere nearby in crypto and they got this idea, like they're not these big fancy pants guys that you can't be reached. I mean, a lot of them are on Telegram. You can just hit them up. I mean, what other place can you just go find the CEO of a new company and be like, slide up in his DMs and be like, hey dude, I want to bring some value to your project. Can you cut me out an allocation in that pre-sale? Like, they're fairly accessible.
Yeah.
But what value, you got to ask yourself, what value can you offer them if you want something in return?
And that's the great thing about space, is that accessibility. You're not going to get access to Tim Cook, right? Or Serge, like you're just not going to get access to these top, 500 S&P listed companies, CEOs or executive teams. In crypto, completely different story. Like all of my opportunities that have come to me in the past 8 years have come from me reaching out to people directly, whether that be just through their Facebook, their Twitter, their email. People want to work with other people to build these ideas right now. And that's why I think competing, legacy projects and companies competing with crypto are going to find it tough, because the speed of the innovation here and the networking that goes on to enable that speed is unparalleled. There's no bureaucracy that you have, from a team of with a $200 billion, $1 trillion company. The bureaucracy and the lawyers, like the boardroom meetings, everything takes time. And it has to be multiple iterations. With crypto, the philosophy is, in Ethereum, build fast, break things, test in production. I don't always agree with that, but that's what's happening, regardless of whether I like it or not. So, these are just some of the things you should be thinking about. And later on in the future issues, I'll be doing some of that work for you guys. And you'll see the process in action. We'll take a coin, for example, a project, and break it down exactly from me getting the white paper on my desk to me actually setting up the call and sending the funds over to get an allocation. It's going to be a nice, from start to finish process. And hopefully you guys can take that and apply that to your own strategies.
Yeah. And DS asks, what value can I contribute if I'm a degen? Well, that's the tough thing, right? When you just enter the space, or you're just like a degen, dice throwing trader, it is hard to just call them up, and that's why there's a sense of exclusivity to it, and that's why there's value to it, because you thin the herds by becoming valuable. And I can just tell you from personal experience, in 2017, I didn't really know anyone. I came in, I was like, oh, cool, what's crypto? It was like spring, and I was like, just learning everything. But the real breakthrough for me was going to Consensus in 2019. And I went to a few launch parties, and I was there with a few guys that I knew, and they knew a bunch of people, and just networking. And now I've come back. That's actually why I'm working with Hxro and Hxro Labs right now, was through the connection I made there. And somebody knew me and then said, hey, we're going to do some content. So like, that's just how it starts. And then you just have to be, personable. You don't even have to be that aggressive. You just want to be talking to people and not silo yourself behind a keyboard, behind an avatar. I mean, that you can do that too. And you can make money trading. Trading's a bit of a grind, let's be honest. If it's not a rip-roaring bull, it's very hard. And then when it is a rip-roaring bull, you're 13 hours a day, and it's, but that kind of networking, it's a slow and steady approach. I was actually, and for anyone who feels like maybe they're intimidated to go to something like a launch party and there's a bunch of influencers, like these are just regular people. They're actually so chill. Everyone I ran into, even I walked in kind of like, oh, hey, like, I don't have 70,000 followers, but my name is so-and-so. And they're just like, oh, what's up, dude? How's it going? Like, they're just 100% bros. And generally speaking, all good dudes and ladies. And I was pleasantly surprised by it. And then you come home from that event and you now just know all those people. So when you hit them up on Twitter or on Telegram, they're just like, they have a face to the name. They're more willing to talk to you. And of course, through that network and that value, you can now offer whatever growth strategies to new projects. So for example, DS.
I was just going to say, like, I call that relationship building, I call it relationship equity.
Yeah.
And I'm always looking to build that type of equity with people, especially in the OTC space where your majority of relationships are very transactional. You could go a month without talking to someone. All of a sudden there's a piece of business. And, if you put some time in and build that relationship, they're just going to keep coming back to you with new opportunities, right?
Yeah. And Stefan just pointed out something very unfortunate and accurate. He said, when's the next coming up like that I can do that? It's like, well, with COVID, I can't even go down to New York City for a while. And frankly, I don't want to right now. So I think that's off the books. The last, digital events, we had Consensus online this year. Super boring. I mean, when I went to Consensus in New York, I didn't even go to the conference. I was like, wait, what? There's a conference? There's just parties every night. It was a lot of fun, and everyone's there, and you shoot the shit, and you create memories, and then forget what happened the night before because get all messed up. So it's a good time though. And again, that's just, is that actionable for someone today sitting at their computer? No, but a little bit of insight here. And one thing I want to touch on before we wrap the newsletter segment is I'm just going to show you a bit. This thing's free. And I think just like a bottle of wine, just like a diamond, there are certain things, just like a lawyer, there's certain things in the world that we value based on how much we had to pay to get them. And I was actually, you charge $15 a month for this newsletter, you charge $50 a month for this newsletter, and there's a perceived increase in how valuable it must be. I'm telling you guys right now, this is like Nick's weekly brain dump. And it's free. Like it blows my mind, but I also get it. If it's something free, people are like, oh, well, must be like weird promotional material, like a flyer. So, tell your friends, check it out, read it. It's solid. And I will just leave it at that. You have two blank bottles of wine. You tell somebody one's worth 80, one's worth 20. They're always going to prefer the 80. But don't sleep on this one just because it's free. It's just something we offer here. And, it's not every day you get a nice brain dump from Nick written out. It's actually every week. So there you go. Now let's dive into some juice. Let's get into some trade ideas. I see you got the wrapped Bitcoin up there. Did you want to speak to that a bit?
Just want to say, just about at 60,000, boys. Only 325 million to go before that prediction comes true. Again, it's just going to continue to accelerate. But yeah, let's get into some trade ideas. I don't want to spend too much on this one, but we have to, unfortunately.
Is that the Dixie?
It's the Dixie.
Oh,
US dollar. It's maybe the reason why the markets are dumping right now. US dollar strength, everything against it gets a little weaker, right? People for the last few days, they've been calling the doom. Where are they now, right? 300% retrace. This thing hasn't even broken the monthly level. Like people are just frothing at the mouth, and I get it. You want downside on the US dollar, but in reality, calm down. Let's break some supports first, and then let's talk about it. But right now, again, I still believe that we will be squeezing up to this level here at 94. If that happens, we will see our corrections across US equities, probably global equity markets, to be honest. We'll see those corrections in crypto. They're all crypto buying opportunities. And that's our point here is like, you're all looking for these great entries to hold for months. This is how you get them. The US dollar rallying and crushing everybody is how we get the dips that we're looking for. Crypto macro bull, yeah, definitely 100%. Let's fucking go, right? But short term, let's not ignore what's going on in the macros. Same thing with commodities. These things, still holding above those levels, but if they break, definitely headed down. But let's take a look at crypto because that's what.
Yeah, let me start us off with a frame on the dominance chart because that just made a very bullish breakdown this week. And all this chaos, again, it's not a ton of chaos on the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, which is the key sort of mover of this dominance. But this is just a bearish retest. So for now, we're still in the moon zone. We're still in the right spot. And this is actually why I have this chart. This is why I spent, all this time putting this thing together and just keep dragging it along. I mean, right, this window can go wherever it needs to go. For now, it is just following price, or in this case, dominance. And we're 105 days into this risk on window. So when I look at these dips on these charts and I look at certain levels on things and I think, oh man, this is something that helps me stay focused on what phase we are in. We are in a risk on phase until we're not. And even just last week, we had Bitcoin making some moves and ETH BTC struggling, and this thing could have turned off, right? If we, just in case you guys are wondering how this works, because now it's been like 105 days, there hasn't been a new window. But if this would have been bullish market structure and we closed above, and that's why I wrote wrecked here. If this goes here, all coins are getting wrecked. ETH BTC is going down. I mean, not because this happened. It's almost like, they're caused, like this would be caused by those going down. But the point is, in that case, it would be this. It would be, okay, risk on window closed there. I would drag a new risk off window here. And this is me, like I'm out of altcoins. I'm not buying dips because Bitcoin dominance is rallying and I'd rather be sitting in Bitcoin. And we're not in that, right? We are still in the risk on window. We are in a place where Ethereum, other altcoins are going to outperform Bitcoin. They are outperforming it. And presumably based on this trend, they will continue to. So all that to say, it is, yeah, it's definitely still time to be hunting dips on altcoins versus Bitcoin. This has nothing to do with the USD valuations. So if you're sitting here trying to pinch every penny and hold on to your USD value, which in many cases you should be, because that's ultimately what you're, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I'm just stacking sats. It's like, well, to some inevitability, you want to have money in the bank that you can spend on, whatever it is your goals are for getting loaded. So, keeping an eye on USD, of course, but as far as like market trends, holding all coins, trading all coins, I mean, this is still by the dip. In fact, this bearish retest, this dip we have today in altcoins is an absolute gift because this could have just broken down hard. And then altcoins are rallying, you're feeling left behind. I mean, that's the other side of this coin, right? So I think without any more delay, we should get into some alts. And just one quick one that I'm looking at here, still a wait and see on swap. This is a trend line we talked about a few different times. And we did, again, why don't I want to enter on trend lines? Well, they can be magnets for price. So they make great exits to a trade. But for entries, they're not very reliable because look, I mean, what am I going to buy this trend line? Where's my stop loss based on that trend line? Because how many times did it poke through and it didn't break down and then eventually obviously broke through? The key level here, and I think we talked about this before stream, I don't think whales are going to step back in on this coin, and they have been present buying swap, selling swap, and they're not coming back in to support price here until 55 cents, in my opinion. I don't think so. There's a big stilt here. TA says there's some inefficiencies that need to be worked out, kind of like the gaps you talked about earlier. Arguably, there's actually a tiny little gap down here as well. So this is sort of my like last resort level, 35 cents, but I'm going to be getting much more interested in this at 55. And that's just the way it is, unfortunately, for all the swap bulls out there, of which I am one. You can't force the market. The other day they came out with some really interesting news around Mobi and their new ILO, and it popped up. It's not going to change the trend though. Trend is down. So we just keep going. So what I'll be looking for here, slide in, get some consolidation, whatever that looks like, breakout. Now it can be a bull again. And that's going to happen pretty much in all assets. So if you can spot these things, you have a plan now. Because I know a lot of people, go into the telegrams and they're just like, oh, I bought the dip. Oh, why does it keep going down? This is so depressing. I bought the dip. Oh, why does it keep going down? This is a bullish coin. Well, it's not. It's in a downtrend. It's a shakeout. So, you can be right, but if you're early, it's going to be really painful. So patience. And that's my thoughts on swap. TLDR, bullish, but not yet. And the other one, what do you got?
Yeah, I did find the previous historical performance of September for the past 5 years. 3 out of 5 years have been down months, with 17, 18, and 19 all being down. Last year double digits. Doom. So far, we've not a great start to the month, boys, but
not a great kickoff.
It's still
hard rejection.
Yeah,
it's like some whales just blew it off the top, and then they were like, "Oh wait, guys, it's September." I distinctly recall September 4th, 2017, with the China bans Bitcoin miners, I believe it was, and then everyone's basically like, "The network's going to collapse, and everything's going to fail because 50% of the hash rate's in China." I mean, it was ugly. There was a lot of selling for about 2 weeks there, whatever it was. September 4th, might have been 3 days. It felt like forever. But I distinctly recall that in the midst of a bull right before the big 20K. So anyone who thinks 2017 was easy, there was a lot of days where you were like, was that the top?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see what September looks like. I like those historical things. Like you've said this before too. They're kind of a low sample size.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know how much, but it's a thing, and it's something we'll keep an eye on. I'm more focused on the technicals. And for now, like we said, we've got those levels we'll be watching. And for now, we haven't broken them. I'm actually really keen to see the daily close tonight and how that reacts to this. Now, I've got OM on my chart sitting at a very key level. I'm long on this one. I'm long on it from this green band. I'm actually also long on it from this breakout yesterday. I added to my position after this 4-hour close. And, you know, like everything else, it kind of came down, shook out today, swept all these lows, tagged the 786, and has now closed that 4-hour back above support. So that's what I mean. For now, you know, that's a dip buy, that's a shakeout, and I'm pretty excited about this coin in general. I think it's like a 50 mil market cap. It's DeFi, it's Polkadot, all those things. So I'm excited on it. I'm not selling my bag. I'm not touching it. If I lose this wick low of anything that happened today, like if that was a big shock in the market. If that wick on basically any asset gets lost, my tune changes fairly quickly. If that was sort of a pullback, shakeout, and then continue, we shouldn't see these wicks get visited. And if they do, I'm happy to, you know, eat shit and hold on to my ETH and just come back to this thing when I get a better setup. So this is my new invalidation for OM down here at 92,000 GUI, whatever you call those ETH sats.
That looks good.
So that's my thoughts on OM. I've got a few more here lined up. If you want, I can just roll with these, and then we can get some. Classic September Asia FUD, right? What the hell? And I can just keep rolling with a couple of pairs. And if you think of anything or see anything community request wise, we'll start reeling those in. I gotta find my. I pulled up so many charts while we were talking today. Where is it? Here we go. Okay. So let's dive into ADA. This is one that has been doing really well this year. Did put in, now a confirmed bullish market structure. So I would change this to confirmed. Because it just flipped green. And in this case, there was no middle green. So that's the W right there. That's the confirmation. We got a low, we got a higher low, breakout. We've got a low, we've got a lower low. So there's your divergence, right? They are diverging. They're not the same. One went lower, the other went higher, showing that there's an internal shift in momentum. We've got the oversold Willie on the daily telling me that we're at a pretty decent place to be buying. Like, obviously don't want to be rushing to buy it overbought. So, you know, momentum's both looking good. The OBV is kind of rolling over. Don't love that as far as volume momentum goes. In the pump chaser zone at support. So ADA is definitely in some interesting levels. As far as like, I haven't been looking to buy it up here. I would have been telling you to, you know, get the hell out because it's bearish market structure and a fail. But it's coming back to levels where I'm excited about it. I think this inside bar is pretty solid as far as like printing just inside and then breaking back above previous bearish bar. So keep an eye on ADA from about 1,000 sats. And you got a nice tight invalidation at basically like 900 sats. So that's about 10% move with plenty of upside. So ADA is one I'll be watching. I wanted to talk about AION as well. Actually, I'll pull that up maybe in here. That's one of the new ideas I put out on the ideas section. And I mean, this volume in the spring, man, this was before the big bull. This was before everything was going crazy. I mean, it started a little in January, February, but this volume that came in to mark what I consider is very high probability bottom was just insane. And then it died off. And now we've got 1,400 sats as resistance. If this breaks, an expansion move up to this old level here is basically like a 2x. They have this coming up, and it's the 8th inning. They're calling it the 8th inning, and that's coming up in November, roughly on the 15th. It's basically a huge drop off in their inflation based on their token release schedule, this TRS thing they had from ICO back in 2017. And it was basically where they distribute all the coins to community and to team members. And so that's going to disappear. So the supply versus the demand for this token is about to take a very significant shift. And I think that will should act as a fairly bullish catalyst heading into the fall. So as far as like picking some high time frame themes, catalyst, why is this one going to move versus another one? That's a pretty good one, I think. And we're sitting in the pump chaser zone. So AION is one I'll be watching. I do have an old free bag. I'd like to get on a fresh trade on it. Zem. Oh my God. This thing has been melting the face right through all this volatility too. Look at this. Actually, this is one from our ideas section a little while ago as well. Where is that? I kind of like these things in TradingView. I mean, you can't delete these, which is a really nice twist versus like Twitter or, you know, Telegram groups, paid groups, whatever you want. You can't delete your ideas on TradingView. So you come check our ideas section. I mean, if it's a bad one, it's going to stay there forever. Actually, I'll show you one later. It just shit the bed. It didn't work. But for the most part, these things are banging. So and you get to push play. You can see it play out. I mean, that's blasted all the targets I had. So Zem, whatever's going on with them, it's clearly quite bullish. I'll show you a shit one that just died. And this is a great one because it was bearish. So I thought, maybe roll over, get a little GAN visit down here over the summer. Very pleased to report that was incorrect. And I can't delete this. Not that I would, but I love that about TradingView. They're like, yeah, you can have an account here. You can share your trade ideas, but you can't just delete all your bad things that didn't work out. You have to be transparent. So if you haven't already, hit us up on TradingView and follow this account and comment on it. And, tell me what sucks about it or what's great about it, and we'll improve it for you. DUSK hasn't really moved. Kind of broke out, got rejected a bit. Let's pull that one up a little more clearly because DUSK is one I am still long on. Didn't even look at it today. God forbid, certainly not sitting here should I sell? This thing just looks bullish. Comes into the pump chaser zone, broke out, closed above resistance. And here's your squeeze. Here's your test. Here's your Wyckoff. This thing just has face rip written all over it. And based, again, it's a lot easier to have confidence in that when you think about this, right? Got that downtrend, bearish retest. So when I look at DUSK, I'm like, given that versus Bitcoin, I'd rather hold this because I think this thing's going to rip. So that's my 2 cents on that. Let's take a look. Okay, yeah, Nick, you're hitting the chat good. Last one I have, this one I might have to eat shit on. We're going to see. As much as I'm bullish on it long term, I'm not ready to just sit in it if it's going to trend down. And it's an interesting scenario. So I'll play it out here. First of all, I think Swipe token has a ton of hype. I think there's a lot of whales with probably a lot of incentive to drive price down because I honestly do think this thing's going to be in that 1 billion market cap at some point. It's fairly easy to see that, I think. So there's all kinds of reasons for big players to come in and play big games. Now, generally speaking, when this low is lost, I'm out. That's my stop loss. But I was not playing this one with a stop loss because it's sized in such a way that I'm comfortable kind of quarterbacking it. And with this dump overnight, again, this wick low, that is my stop loss now. I'm like, if that's whatever, I just don't want to be in that coin. Even if it's down at this support at that point, I mean, I have to have an invalidation somewhere. So after this big dumpy shakeout, cool. But if we go back down and visit that low, I'm comfortable, eating shit, taking the loss, and moving on. And as far as today goes, on a scalp trade, because I really didn't want to see these lows go, but you can see we zipped right back up and closed on the 4 hour. So I think that there's a very good chance here. I think we could easily just continue on our merry way, and it's all for none. But as far as futures go, I actually have bids here. Whoops, I have some bids today, and I'll show you guys what I do when it comes to these mega dumps, trying to get long on them, rather than call them and just try to buy, especially on futures, right? Because that's how you get liquidated. I'll do this. I'll take the low, then the initial impulse back up, and this is where I'm hunting. Because then you have and what happens here when this rolls over, right? A lot of people, they panic, they exit, they get liquidated. They're like, oh my God, we're heading to new lows. And so often it's just this RLZ. There's no new low. But as a futures trader, it allows me to take some size because I have a tight invalidation, set my stop loss at that low. And, upside is, I only really have to get back to where price is now to get my 3 to 1. So that's actually how I'm going to be trading a lot of these dips today. And obviously right now I don't have to worry because none of them have come back down yet. But off this dip, take that bounce, draw that fib, and there's a really nice tight spot to get long when everyone else is freaking out thinking it's going to continue. Often it does not. And before I risk rambling too much today, I want to go back and show you where that worked perfectly. Time that I actually traded it. Let's go look at March with Bitcoin. Beautiful. Take that low, right? So instead of buying, getting liquidated, I just waited for it to come in. I don't give a fuck. Where's it going to go? I don't care. Just going to wait. Because at some point, it will bounce. And it did. Where did that high go? Up to here. That was my wick. Where did I place my bids? Down here on my sweet spot. What a fill. right? 4,500. I think I had 4,475. I mean, that's a legendary fill. I'm going to toot my horn on that. And it's not some big fancy formula. It's just drawing a fib off the bounce off of a crazy dump. So this is what I'm hunting for. Obviously, I'm hooked on this setup now because it works so well with Bitcoin. But that's what I'm hunting on all of these futures tanks today, because a lot of them look like this. And sure, they could just, looks like a little bull flag here. We could just continue. That's great. I'm already long from before on spot. But yeah, for futures, you got to be tighter. You can't just, take 20x leverage right here. I can't. I don't have that set up. So that's my 2 cents on sort of how I'm going to take this with futures. Looks like we have a little consolidation here. So if this breaks down, expect to hear about me filling down here if it hits, and hopefully not getting my ass handed to me on a 4% drawdown.
That's good.
Who's in the chat today, and what do you got in your bag, and what would you like to see? Let's take a look at
Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I got them all queued up there while you were dropping some alpha.
Beautiful. Let's take a look.
Yeah, I guess we can start off with YFI, the monster, the menace that displaced Bitcoin this week. It's held up pretty well. It fell back down to this 4-hour block. Why was I looking at this 4-hour block as a level of interest? Well, because this is, we had a little bit of resistance, and this is where it shot up from. I call these the origin of the springs. And more often than not, price loves to come back and retest them, very similar to what we promote with Wyckoff. I know we were looking at this chart a little while back before, saying, there's no reason to chase this thing when it first broke up. Sure enough, look what happened. She wicked right back down to the origin of the entry, giving you a perfect entry. And then, if you were trading as capitalize on a 100% move. So what are we looking for right now? That's in the past. Well, right now, again, bouncing off here. If the market really is bearish, you can expect this level here at 32,000 to get rejected. I'm actually going to set an alarm right here myself, because if we move above here and we turn this back into support, on she goes. It'll continue. However, if we fail to break this level and close below this, well, we're going to be in this range, right? So I'm not going to be looking to trade this. If I'm bearish, I'm probably looking to take a short up here, right? With the invalidation, above these highs, with the target of down here, back down at 16,000. This, we have retested it, but if we do break this level right here, well, where's price going to go? Well, it's going to go right here, right? Again,
and it's not magical, right? It's because that's where the bulls see the level break and they say and I don't mean random bulls. I mean like the whales, the guys who put pivots in markets, and they're going to look at that next level, and that's where they'll step in to support.
Exactly.
At least some of them.
So if we see a break of this range right here, where's she going to? You're going to have a 20% trade on the table, right? This is where I would expect a really strong bounce. This inefficiency, it's been confirmed support. It's moved up. This has not been confirmed, but as you can see, that was about 20 hours worth of consolidation, moved up. This is the logical level for price to return to, about that 19,900, 20,000 marker, assuming we get rejection here at 32,000. So this would be a trade I would be looking to take, because look at your downside risk, right? What a great opportunity. 38% move. What are you risking?
And you can short it now.
Yeah, you can do that on Binance. It's finally here, the ability.
On the futures.
Yeah, so that's what I'm going to be looking for on this one. Right now, like I said, you've kind of already missed the initial down move, so I wouldn't be chasing this too quickly. I would be looking for price to confirm that it is indeed bearish, and the bears have the momentum.
Yeah, and I'd hate to think what that's going to mean for all these YF clones that have come out. And it's not to discount them. Maybe maybe they came in and they have a better, cooler idea than YFI. But there's YFV, there's YFL, there's YYIF, there's YYIF.
All the governance tokens.
There's a whole bunch of this shit, and it'll be interesting to see how they react if YFI does cool off a bit, because it's up, a good 10x, 15x from
10x.
a month ago. So if it cools off, what happens to the clones? We'll find out. I know YFL. Oh my god, that thing like 100x'd in the last 10 days. Crazy.
Jesus. Again, like if you don't have that team behind you, it's tough to keep track of everything. But somebody asked for an FTM BTC chart. Here it is. Again, Wyckoff theory wins again. Resistance turns support, right? Off she goes. Same thing here. Yeah, it went a little bit lower, but principle's the same. I could draw this down if I really wanted to get nitpicky. Same thing. So what am I looking for here now that we've made that next step up? Well, again, it's going to get thinner and thinner and thinner as we go up because the consolidation periods are less and less, right? To me, when's there going to be a blow-off level? When I see less and less consolidation periods, it, to me, signals that we're getting closer and closer to that interim blow-off top historically. So the longer the consolidation periods, the higher the strength and duration of the move, the lower the consolidation, you might get that pop, but it's a higher probability that it's coming to an end. And
exhaustion.
Yeah, exactly. This is when you would expect to start seeing maybe some bear divergences form or something. And I don't know if it has. Let's see. It's starting, right? Like you can see here, the daily stoke isn't making new highs, so it's making new highs on less momentum. Generally not a great thing to see, but again, these are higher time frames. This can take a while to confirm. This is unconfirmed divergences right now, just because we're currently the daily candle hasn't closed. What conclusion can we draw from that? Nothing. So in terms of managing your risk and price discovery, you just move up your stop loss. So if you're long from these levels here and you caught this expansion move up to the 472, you don't want to give back all your profits. At this point, you'd be probably looking to move up your stop, 370 or so, 350, around that 350.
Lock it in. Got to pay yourself.
Exactly. It's a free ride at this point, right?
Yeah.
There's no reason to sell right now because there's nothing indicating or signaling that this thing's about to reverse. It's, again, consolidating above the former resistance level here, right?
Yeah.
You gotta view that as bullish consolidation. So until this breaks down and invalidates the bullish momentum and market structure, I would hold this. And I'm putting stop losses probably below this candle right here, like again, that 355 level. You don't necessarily want to set, and that's a big mistake for new traders. Like where are people going to want to be putting their stop losses off this consolidation? Well, probably right off this low, before it would have been right here. And sure enough, look what happened. Boom, rated, right? And now everybody who is long off this probably readjusted their stops. So if this does do another hunt down, you can bet that this thing is going to trigger all those stops off of that, right? Yeah. So I'm not a big fan of setting stop losses just on range lows. Those get rated way too much, especially when you're in a highly volatile market such as this, where you're getting 5% wicks on some of this stuff just because it's so illiquid. I would move my stop loss below the breakout candle here, right? And sure enough, a little volume node, not the greatest, but yeah, so I give myself a little bit more wider berth in my stop losses and adjust them accordingly to the volatility of the market, as well as the liquidity, which is going to impact the volatility.
Yeah. Which brings up an interesting point, and then we'll get into a rapid fire. I think we could pump out like 10 community requests as we wrap up the end of the hour here. We're actually a little overtime, but that's all good. It's Wednesday, baby. Now, Mick asks, he says, this is subjective, but do you think futures kills the good pumps? There's a lot of people that speculate, well, now that you can short it, well, the party's over.
They can actually add fuel to them.
And I think it just puts the whole thing on steroids in both directions. I think it empowers all traders to have a larger impact on price, obviously. And that likely is advantage whales because they just have more sophisticated means and size. And, my off the cuff, you're right. It's a fairly subjective question. Who knows? But my off the cuff answer for me would be that more games can be played when you can push the market in both directions that much easier. Mm-hmm. And you see it on Binance all the time on their futures chart, which you can't see on TradingView, right? When you go to like Bitcoin USDT on TradingView, it's their spot chart, but you go look at their futures chart, only available on their actual site. some of these wicks that come in are insane. And you're just thinking, did the market maker pull their bids and just squeeze price down there, liquidate, wash people out, and then they rally it back up and party continues? They've just increased their size significantly. Those kinds of games can be played with futures, and so it is a little trickier to play versus just like a pure spot market. I mean, that's
especially when you have like the CME futures in play as well, because those are cash settled. So it's very easy to be taking positions in the future or in like the derivative space, I guess the best play would be when CME launched. If you're loading up there because it's going to be cash settled, so you don't have to worry about the decrease in price of Bitcoin. It's the position then is to sell the spot Bitcoin, and you're already positioned short on the futures products, which again, they're cash settled. So you're not, it wouldn't make sense if it's settling in Bitcoin. Well, now you're just driven down the value of the Bitcoin, and that's getting settled to less USD notional. But again, when you have cash settled futures, which I don't think I don't think Ethereum futures have even launched yet for cash settlement. But I'm sure we're going to get that stuff eventually.
Yeah, I heard whispers about it. I don't have any info.
Yeah, it's been in the works for a while. But yeah, right now I guess Bitcoin only has access to that.
Is that going to be our top? Maybe that was the top for Bitcoin in 2017.
Yeah,
what was it, December 16th or something? And it was like CME goes live. Everyone's cheering. We're like, we're real. And now and then it was just like boom. Like it was like a 14K drop, and I think it bottomed at like 6K that day on a wick, and then just bounced up to 17. Like it was just insane. So
there's just too much opportunity there.
If they are going to go live with the CME futures for Ethereum, I want to know what day, and I'm going to be watching the charts. Maybe shorting it this time. We'll see. Now look, I've got Serum here. Ali would like to take a look at. Let's pull up Serum. We got this on the chart last week. Actually, this is one I was looking at yesterday from one of our other streams, and I think it was somewhere like, let's say here. Probably last time we were on stream with Serum, and just this idea that this didn't look like a top to me, and that was sort of my takeaway that day, which we had just total lack of interest here, and then the buyers started to come in as price rising. You can see the volume rising. It was starting to look interesting. So drew up, I guess it was up here because I drew up that fib extension, and let's pause that here. So with this fib extension here, gave us an idea of where we could see a target extension to. Like, is that at the top forever? No, it's about trading. So if we're going to get this breakout, where do I want my take profits? And do I want to have my orders working? Because often these will just get wicks. And I was pretty fascinated last night when I signed on. Actually, I don't think it was this morning. And I signed on and I saw that did wick just beautifully. And so obviously some people are using this fib sequence to take profits. And so you can see that it did wick into that level, pulled back, which turns out is the POC now. Actually, I wonder if that is the case at the time. Let's take a quick look. I do want to get a little rapid fire with these, so I don't want to get too long on these charts. So maybe give me like a 1 minute warning if I'm going too crazy. But I mean, I could talk charts all day, but I think it's nice to spread the value out to a few different coins. But yeah, I mean, we had a node on the VPVR here, so you could say, okay, now I'm going to reload down here at previous highs, and that worked out really well too. So having these location tools available for you to give you a sense of, oh, look, I took my profit, but I really like Serum. Where can I get back in? Well, I want to reload at this previous high. Bing, someone did, because they put a bottom in, and now the buyers have stepped back in. Serum looks really good, and we can actually continue with this type of TA from here. So if I want to even just stretch my fib, just take that same extension from these lows up to these highs. What does a new extension look like? Well, look at that. It aligns really nicely with our chaos PRZ, which is drawn off this consolidation. So it's kind of like what Nick was talking earlier. The longer the consolidation, the more explosive the move. And the chaos fib kind of captures that idea. It's not as much about the length time-wise as much as the range price-wise of that consolidation. And then it spits it out with a 4.669 multiple, which has something to do with chaos in the universe. And sure enough, it aligns with our 618. So if I was speculating on a long position I had on Serum and I wanted to take profit on the next sort of key objective, I would probably look to this level up here around $5, just above maybe. That's it. Those are my thoughts. I mean, you could get chintzier here. Yeah, you could get chintzier here with a tighter extension, and there probably will be some degree of somebody looking at that and taking a little profit there. But because this aligns with chaos, because this buy volume continues to increase, because Serum is dope, I think this thing is just going to smack into this 550 range in sometime in the near future. Let's take a look. We'll be back to see, absolutely. If it does, you better believe we're going to see it here.
Yeah. I got the STRAT chart pulled up here. It's another Wyckoff beauty.
Okay, hit me with STRAT, and I'm going to go take a look with SUSHI's going on there, and then CELR and all that.
Sushi. We good to go, John? We are good to go. Yeah, so very similar pattern here of Wyckoff. What a daily level, right? You know, this thing has been respecting this level since June 15th. A break of this will be see price headed back down to 4146. If you're bullish, you know, this is the best spot to be taking, you know, punting that long. You know, we've seen a few retests of this, each leading to nice pops here. Again, I think what's going to happen here is really going to be dependent on what the majors do next. I wouldn't want to be scaling into absolutely every alt without waiting to see how the majors close in about 5 hours right now. As long as we hold this level, you know, this thing just has a history of making higher highs, holding the lows. I don't know much about this project, but as long as we hold this level, I'd be okay with that. On the long side, if we lose this, I would cut the longs expectations that this thing would be headed down at least 20%, back down to the origin of this latest upswing, which created this range, back down there like 4.1, 4.2. Yeah, like there's no real divergences or anything on the high time frames or anything. Just, you know, it's fucking ran up huge since March. Like how high is this thing gone? A nice 6x basically with no major retraces, and that's the theme for all of these coins since March. Up 5x, 6x, 10x, you know, with no major retraces. So again, it's not the end of the world. As long as this level holds, fantastic. But where would I really want to be a buyer? Well, if I got the opportunity, I'd be looking for these levels. They've already been tested, so you know that's been completed. I'm not too worried about that. It doesn't need to have any gaps to fill or anything.
Where are you charting that? That's STRAT, right?
Yeah, it's just the STRAT Tether USD that Binance just generates.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because that Stratus is an OG coin. I got a very different looking chart. Like just with the year-long accumulation it just had. But yeah. I mean, really we're looking at what's next, and that's just
and this is just the immediate term stuff.
Exactly.
That I'm looking at. So yeah,
I just got confused. I was like, is that FTX or something? They got a perp? I don't know.
Not on this one. I bet they wish they did though. But if it holds this level, fantastic. But if we do break, then I wouldn't be touching this thing until we get back down to that 0.42 level. Again, it's really going to depend on what the majors do here. You can already see, like, you know, this doesn't look great. In my opinion, Ethereum will be dipping back from this once this little bounce has worked itself out. But
let's see. Yeah, I mean, I really want to catch. I really want to catch SXP on that little fib fill I talked about earlier. So see if I can get lucky there. I do consider it luck because, you know, to get exactly what you're looking for in the market does take a little bit of luck, and over time, you know, people that are skillful seem to get lucky, and those who get lucky a lot seem to be fairly skillful. So applying what we can, TA skills, but then, you know, even then you want to catch a little bit of luck. Now let's flip back over here. I got sushi, delicious, tasty rice rolls. No idea what this coin does. I'm sure it is something to do with yam farming type stuff.
It's another yield coin.
Yeah, that's just me being old and not looking up some of these newer things, and that's cool. I'm too focused on other stuff right now. However, sushi coin, it's coming into a buy zone, coming into an area where if I was a sushi bull, you know, and I always get nervous charting these new coins because like things like Ample and Rebase, and people are like, well, if it's below $1, they're going to give you more or take away, so there'll be less supply, like these kind of rebase things. It's like, so if there's a dynamic like that working behind this coin that I don't know about, then this is very invalid. But purely based on TA, I would be looking into this level. I mean, look, you've got your fib golden ratio, your 618 right here, perfectly aligned with this previous high. So that's my first as far as like tagging go, but I'd actually be looking for a little dip below into that, maybe getting into some market structure, the sweet spot, this other previous high, correcting this part of the chart, and then ready to go. So sushi as far down, and that's a crazy drop actually. Come to think of that, that's like 40%, 50% drop. So kind of calling the bear, I guess, on sushi, but it's not really like I think it'll go there. It's just that if I want to buy this thing, it needs to go there for me. Otherwise, I want to find some other coin that went there because I want the absolute best RR on the things I'm longing. It's a lot easier to do that when you don't really care what you're trading. Like, I am not this guy. Like, I don't care if sushi gets away from me or any other coin. I'm going to take what best opportunities present themselves. And in this case, sushi is 40% away from an area where I guess, again, if I'm eager, maybe a little tag and go here. That's still a 23% drop. So taking my time with the sushi. What do you got?
Nothing in particular. I saw a tweet coming out, Dow Jones Industrial getting close to all-time highs again here. S&P's already broken it. The NASDAQ has already broken it. This is
broken new highs just now?
No, it's getting like very, very close. They just made new daily highs here. But yeah, it's I think an hour to the close here. It's only less than 2% away from new all-time highs on the Dow Jones.
Wow.
What a recovery.
Magical. Absolutely magical. Somebody asked about CELR. I have an old chart here on CELR. Let's see what it looks like now. The pump chaser zone has been obliterated, but that doesn't actually, yeah, no, sorry guys, CELR doesn't look great, and I'll tell you why. Like at a quick glance. Now let's see what I was eyeing for CELR. Similar to DUSK actually. This actually looks really close to DUSK. If you guys remember earlier, the chart I pulled up, same kind of thing, consolidating under resistance. Let's take a quick look and see where the bear came in, which we did just get a close. Now look, we came in, put in a high, put in a higher high, like a little sweep here. Very little momentum, clear fall off in volume. Like this was an exhausted push. There was just nothing behind that. It was a bunch of maybe late or eager bulls, or perhaps even some, whale games trying to sweep these highs. I don't even know if you can short this one on futures, where that wouldn't really apply if it's just a spot coin. But the idea being like this had nothing in it. And that's why I don't get people that say, people that know TA and they're like, momentum indicators are stupid. Like, I just don't get it, because it gives you good information about what's inside. And if you found a way to be profitable without it, cool. But I find it so valuable to be able to see that this high was nothing more than an exhaustion kind of after breath to this whole rally. It's kind of like, ugh, and this dying breath. Now let's see why I think we did just confirm bearish market structure. I mean, it's not what I think. It's just right here on the chart. So let's take a look. We have a confirmed bearish divergence right here, lower high, and then it broke below this low here. So that's just what it is. And with this, I mean, on a line chart, it would be here because that's the candle close. So you get a lower high, but regardless, higher or lower, it is double top. And it was the break of this candle body low and this close that we got last night that actually confirmed the bearish market structure. So again, when looking for the best opportunities in the market to go long, is this where I want to get long? And is this when I want to get long? Definitely not. Now, how could I short this? Maybe I'm even in a position and I want to get the fuck out because it does look like it just confirmed bear and it wants to kind of pull back. Now look, confirming bear here doesn't really mean, dead. It just means let's go test some levels. I mean, this level already got a test. This level already got a test, but it just looks exhausted. So let's see where it has to come back to. If I was looking to exit because I'm stuck in a position and I want to be shorter, or I just want to increase my bag, I'd be looking up into this area. You get a lot of these exhaustion rallies where, okay, this confirmed the bear. Doesn't mean it goes straight down. In fact, a whole bunch of times you get stuff like this, and then that's an even more exhausted play, right? Momentum doesn't even follow it at all. Now let's see if we can get down in and fill in this VPVR, which you can see hasn't really created the healthy parabola that would like, right? These things like to show, they like to form a parabola to suggest that they have been fully sort of like a normal, what do you call that? Normality curve? Normal distribution in data, like same kind of thing with fibs, the universe. Let's get a curved line out here. A healthy VPVR should have this kind of a shape, but it doesn't, which tells me it needs to do some business in this area, which means it probably wants to come down and explore. And that will probably just look like standard price action when we zoom out and check back later. It'll just be like a visit back down to this reload zone, chill for a little bit, fill this all in, and then we're off to the races. That's my 2 cents on CELR. If you're not a seller of CELR, you're about to be a community member.
Ooh.
WAP. Hot take. It's easy to see. I mean, and you could, like, could be wrong. I'm wrong all the fucking time. But if I just keep trading fairly sound TA, I will avoid buying heavy ass bags. And that has saved me a lot of money. For example, going back here to my swap homie, I want swap in my portfolio. Using some TA, I spotted that, put in that short reload zone, came right back up into it, got the hell out, and I'm saving a lot of money. And as soon as this thing's ready, I'll be back in. Same as CELR. I like CELR. Some people that I like CELR, more importantly. So, but give me 50 sats. I'm buying it. Nicholas, what have you on the chart, good sir? I think we're ready to wrap pretty soon. The chat requests have gone a little quiet. YFV, I can do happily, although it's on the shitty ChartX.
I'd say, like, my last point of the day is just watching what U.S. equities are going to do here into close. They're obviously fucking surging. This thing's just going. This could be the parabolic. Look at the curve, right? It's really picking up stream, just straight vertical here. But yeah, my biggest watch right now is just going to be the Dixie. Keeping an eye on the Ethereum 447 level, going into around there, 444. Going into daily close in about 4 hours right now, and I think every one of these alts that we've talked about, it's what they do next is going to be dependent on what the majors do here. And if we, look at this, this is just making higher lows on higher momentum. Like, yeah, okay. We'll see how that plays out, probably to the downside eventually here. So as long as the 400 holds, I'm okay with where our alts are right now. Otherwise, if that goes, yep, we're headed to 360, and I won't be touching any alts, especially on Uniswap, because those are heavily correlated with one another. And like I said, the low cap stuff doesn't tend to move a lot unless we have a high volatility move where people are just they're out. They're going to wait until it hits a bottom, forms the base, and starts moving up again. Otherwise, not only is your alt getting punished, but if you are purchasing with ETH or wrapped ETH, well, your collateral is also taking a beating in USD notional. And just going to be sitting on my hands going into this close right now.
Yeah, now let's Mick just gave me a shout to remind me about Melon. Mick, what is your favorite chart for Melon? I'm just looking around. It's not one I tried. I guess Bittrex is probably, I feel like it's a Bittrex coin. I see it on Kraken. I see it on Finex. See it on Huobi. Huobi chart's not that inspiring though. It's kind of short. So tell me where you like that one history-wise, and I will pull it up. In the meantime, I do have YFV here. Now, I traded YFV. Shout out to the trading pit, because I actually just randomly stopped by there and somebody, was like, oh, YFV. And I looked at the chart and it was like right here. It had just broken this 20 level. And so you can only really market buy on Uniswap. So I just went and bought a bag, and I ended up, I think, with like a $24 entry right around here, slippage, whatever. And yeah, that's been a great trade. I actually closed some. I closed half yesterday at, I think, 64, probably on this dip actually. So shout out to me selling the dip. So I did sweat a little. I was like, oh my God, is it going to follow this wick? Because we got this insane wick yesterday that just ruined the chart. I looked all over the blockchain down the FFW, YFW contract, and I could not find one transaction that would have done this on Uniswap or anywhere else. I saw a lot of activity from Huobi and other exchanges moving that shit around, but no big moves. So I don't know what this was, but it was on more than one chart. It was on DEX tools. So whatever API misread that, there was no evidence of this being a real buy. So sad face. But that, is that going to be a foreshadow? We're going to get a YFL kind of move up here, which went from like $12 up to 1,400 the other day. I don't know. But I did sell half my position here. And I mean, I even had somebody in the trading pit like shouting out like, anyone selling here is just stupid. But I'm like, okay, bro. How about locking in, whatever that was. No, it was 24 entry. Like, how about locking in 162% gains? Right. So I don't really care what they say, but it's just funny when people are like, anyone selling is stupid. It's like, well, unless they're up a huge amount of money and they're going to cash that and put it in their bank account. I am out of YFV because YFI seems to have lost its excitement. And that's personally why I was chasing this, playing these echo plays. So I sold half yesterday. I sold the rest somewhere here today, maybe like 59. I have no attachment to this coin. It was a great trade, and I'm moving on. If it starts to look bullish again, I can capture a new move. For now, I was never planning to hold it that long anyways. So this was an easy sell for me. It was up quite a bit, and that's a bag of Ethereum I can now deploy wherever I want. Now, let's take a look. Okay, Melon ETH on Kraken. And I keep hearing about Melon very loosely. Actually, mostly in TRI, which is where Nick resides. So Mick giving us a shout on Melon. It's doing well. Seeing the volume roll over here. So some loss of interest from buyers apparently on the newer highs, which just tells me that there's less buyers stepping in. It's just like a weaker move. It's losing a little momentum, but let's dive in a little more because the MACD is looking good there. So the actual velocity of the move is doing okay. Yeah, the OBV is just kind of doing its thing. Nothing too crazy there. Let's look for some levels. High time frame. That makes sense that where is this? Yeah. It makes sense that we would stop here because if you look left, which is a great place to find resistance and previous price levels, it's also why a lot of these new coins run so friggin' hard because there's nothing to the left. There's no places for people to look and set their sell orders. There's no bag holders looking to get out at break even. It's just, but side thought there. But yeah, look, I mean, you got an old support level here. When it failed, it came up and retested. It actually blasted through on sort of a random, but retested, fail, coming down, and now we've just come up. So it actually makes perfect sense that a ton of people had this level marked for getting the hell out of that trade or even like an old bag. You're seeing this a lot too in the bear market where, this is 2017, you come down, you create a floor, and then when you get back up to that old floor, that's your new local top. Let's see. I bet there's going to be some fib extensions that pointed us in that direction as well. Just for interest's sake, right? When I do these things again and again, it's just to give us an idea, like, so extension of that first move, if you were trading it, this wick came right up into that zone and sold off. No big surprise. And let's see what that next wave looked like. Yeah, I mean, so it didn't quite reach that this time, but you had an old level here. I don't know about Melon. I mean, pump chaser zone, if you're really bullish on it, we could chase this pump in a safe-ish way. So we're pulling right back into that now, if you're super keen on this. Mick, the way you described it tells me that you're thinking of it more as a strong project, a strong play, maybe more investment status. And if you have been long on it, 500%, like there's a double in there for anyone who's like, okay, I bought this consolidation, which was likely a beautiful pump chaser play. Let's pull that down here. Let's drag it up. Yeah. So actually kind of broke the level. So wasn't a great one. Probably would have got stopped out myself. But there's room in here for a double, for anyone who is like, chasing this thing. And then once you have that, you sell half on a double, you got a free position. Now you're thinking investment level. I can hold this thing through whatever. For this minute as a trade, I'd be a little bit cautious with this one. Not exactly a level I want to see. And again, if it does come down and it wants to consolidate in here and put in some divergence and structure and all this shit and give me good reasons, I imagine this is not the last we'll hear of Melon. From the looks of it and the sounds of it, this level will not last forever. But today's, I don't know. That's my two thoughts. What do you think? What do you think, Mick? I know you got
one of those old coins, never really looked at. I looked at the BTC chart. Looks like it's probably going to come back and retest that. What is that? 400,000 mark. If it does that, and holds there, that's bullish. Resistance becomes support. But besides that, I wouldn't want to be getting into it right here. Probably wait for that retest. I think we're going to get it with the way markets are moving right now.
Yeah, I think it's time to be selective for me personally. Yeah. There's so much opportunity in this market right now. Even if that's like my little YFI play, like this is, I don't know what this does. This is a random thing, but YFI is pumping, YFL is pumping. Why not YFV? Right? Sick breakout here, volume rising. That's a trade. I can't make that trade if I'm parked in, some other asset. So I am very selective right now with what I take, and I'm getting profits, even if it means, not catching the exact top. This little market structure fail told me to get the hell out. Melon, same kind of thing. Big rejection off that level. Could just consolidate here and continue. Great. But I think I can find better, I guess, is my TLDR. And that's sort of what we've been featuring today. Yeah. So those are my thoughts. Again, when you guys do community requests, get our face cams back on. When you guys do our community requests, there's a lot of, it's quick and dirty, right? So sometimes I do look at these and I even watch them back later with our producer, and it's like, oh, like, what can we improve here? And sometimes I look at my take on the coin and I'm like, God, like I missed this, I missed that. Some of these quick and dirty TAs don't get to the full picture, but for what it's worth, sharing the best quick and dirties we can. Melon just looks like it smacked a great level, and if you were in that trade, that was a great take profit, and now it's time to just find the next one, set some alerts for things like Melon coming down into levels, and then just forget about them until those hit. My 2 cents. Now, as a final wrap for today, I want to touch on key levels because, a daily close on Ethereum BTC, ETH BTC above 377, 0377. We need to close the daily above that. If we do, buy in the dip for me. Nick, what is your Bitcoin level for this range? I mean, we're basically at range lows. Is there a key high time frame level where you're like, let's set some alerts? I like to
above 12,100.
So 12,100 for your new highs. What about your bearish alert? Like, maybe I'm going to change my tune and get the hell out for a little bit.
11,100.
11,100. Okay. So we've got a nice $1,000 range on Bitcoin. And yeah, that's it for today, guys. Really appreciate you guys coming out. Hit us up on Twitter at Hxro, Real Hxro Labs. And if you haven't already, sub to the channel, hit us with a like, lets us know you love us, and hit us with a comment if you have any thoughts, feedback, comments, and we'll be happy to look at that. As I think it was Linus can attest to, we made a few adjustments to our layout based purely on what he said, and hopefully he can enjoy it even more now. So have a wonderful day, everybody, and whatever you do, always play from a position of strength.
Never FOMO.
Never.